Well, let's move to the United States now. And it was seen as a key political battle in the heartland of America between the Democratic Party's centrist mainstream and its progressive left wing. And in the party primary in Ohio's Cleveland area 11th district, the centrists won, with Councilwoman Shontel Brown scoring an upset victory over Nina Turner, a close ally of Senator Bernie Sanders, seen as a rising star among progressives. Now, Israel was an issue in this race. In her victory speech, Brown expressed sympathy for Israel and thanked Jewish voters for their support after receiving endorsements and support from the Jewish Democratic Council of America, the Democratic Majority for Israel, and the group Pro-Israel America. Turner, in turn, blamed her loss on the influence of evil money.
To me, but when you stand on the land where you see a person who has a firecracker that's been dropped by a drone near the Gaza Strip, and you are within a few feet of a bomb shelter, you can appreciate the vulnerability of a state, and that has given me the understanding of the importance of the U.S.-Israel relationship. So I thank my Jewish brothers.
Well, for more, let's go to Jeff Mendelsohn, Executive Director of Pro-Israel America, joining us from Washington, D.C. Well, Jeff, first of all, explain why your group decided to support Shontel Brown in this race in a Cleveland area congressional district that's largely Democrat, so she'll be certainly elected in the general race, and your reaction to its results.
Well, thank you, Calev. It's great to be here with you this afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity. Pro-Israel America exists to help elect pro-Israel members of Congress and to stop anti-Israel candidates. And that's exactly what the situation was here in this race. We endorsed Shontel Brown early in February because we recognized in her a true friend of the U.S.-Israel relationship. In fact, when we spoke with her, she spoke of it as a friendship, something that she wanted to nurture and advance as a member of Congress. She understands the value of the U.S.'s relationship, both to Israel and to the United States, and she sees real opportunities to take advantage of that for the benefit of her constituents. So for us, it was a very straightforward decision. We got on board early, as I said, and helped propel her campaign forward. She was the underdog, and last night's victory was huge. It was a double win, really, because not only did a pro-Israel candidate, Shontel Brown, get elected, but someone who is hostile to the U.S.-Israel relationship.
Well, I'm going to jump in there, Jeff, because this race got a lot of national attention, really because of the loser in this race, Nina Turner, who was seen as a real rising star of the progressive movement, close ally and spokesperson for Senator Bernie Sanders. I want you to talk about her and also relate to her comment she made last night about, quote, evil money, unquote, manipulating the results.
Absolutely. Well, those comments, I think, showed her true colors. I found them despicable and obviously reeking of anti-Semitic overtures. There's really no place for that. And I think it's that kind of divisive language that the voters of the 11th District rejected last night in electing Shontel Brown. She was supported by Bernie Sanders, by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, other members of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. She herself, Nina Turner, said she wanted to become a member of the squad and join what I call the Blame Israel caucus. She had negative views about the U.S.-Israel relationship, wanted to condition aid to Israel, restrict security assistance. She showed solidarity while Hamas rockets were raining on Israel in May. She expressed solidarity for an anti-Israel group that was claiming to fight Israeli apartheid. So it was a huge win last night for the U.S.-Israel relationship that Shontel Brown won.
Right. Now, I wonder if, looking at this race, looking at the New York mayoral Democratic primary, where we saw a moderate Democrat who had taken a more sympathetic tone to Israel, also Eric Adams also winning that race, how much you see this as either maybe a trend that can relate to bigger trends in the Democratic Party staying to the center, or how much these are basically local races that at the end of the day were won on local issues, and maybe other races could turn out differently?
I think it's actually a very good sign. I think the majority of members of the Democratic Party, the Democratic voters, are supportive of the U.S.-Israel relationship, and I think they're going to vote that way. I think that what you're seeing across the country is a few very loud voices on the progressive left, but the majority of the candidates who are going to win are going to be more centrist Democrats who are liberal and in line with Democratic Party principles, but not hostile to the U.S.-Israel relationship.
Well, you make a good point about you saying some loud voices, because, again, a lot of the media coverage have been going to the sort of what we call the squad or the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. But as we've seen in these races, at the end of the day, it seems like voters are actually choosing some of the less heralded, and they're seen as upsets. Shontel Brown was certainly seen as almost like an upset, but maybe, and so was Adams in New York, but maybe that isn't really the case.
Yeah, I think that, look, Nina Turner started this race with a huge advantage financially. She had the ability to raise literally millions of dollars. She had greater name ID. So yes, Shontel Brown was a come-from-behind candidate, but as we and others were able to help her campaign and give her visibility, voters got to know her. And once they got to know her, they got to like her, and they came out and voted for her. And I think that that's a trend that you can see across the country. That doesn't take away from the fact that there are going to be some very tough election battles. And we have to be prepared for each one of them. There are local issues, and we have to be cognizant of that. But at the end of the day, I think this will be a very good year for pro-Israel members of Congress and pro-Israel candidates winning.
Right, but briefly, the discourse heard in these races is ultimately harmful to the discourse of Israel in the United States. Would you agree? Absolutely.
I think that you have, again, this small but very vocal group of anti-Israel candidates and members of Congress who do not support the U.S.-Israel relationship, and they're working hard to disrupt it. And we have to be prepared to work against that.
All right, Jeff Mendelsohn, Executive Director, Pro-Israel America, thank you for joining us on i24NEWS.
Thank you.